My name's Brenda, and I'm 32. Or I was 32 when all this started. Anyway, it feels like a lifetime ago. The way people talk about it, you'd think I set fire to the whole town or something. All I did was try to get my life together. Is that so bad? It all started, I guess, with Mark, my husband, or my ex-husband. I should probably say, it's still weird to say that we'd been together forever. It felt like since college. He was always there, reliable, a little boring, maybe, but always there, and good with the kids. That's what everyone always said. Oh, Mark's such a good dad. Like I wasn't, please. I brought them into the world. Didn't I? Anyway, Mark and I, we had our ups and downs. Who doesn't? But lately, it felt like more downs. He was always on my case about something. My drinking? Mostly. Like it was some huge deal. I mean, yeah, I liked a glass or two, or five. After a long day with the kids, who wouldn't? It's not like I was out in the streets, causing trouble. I was at home, in my own house, relaxing. He'd come home from his job, always so important. His job, whatever it was, and he'd look at me, that look, the one that says, I know what you've been doing, and I'd just roll my eyes. Like, please, you think I'm that obvious? I'm not. I remember this one night, he found empty wine bottles in the recycling bin. He actually counted them. Can you believe that? Like I was a child? He came at me, all huffy, with this look on his face like he was about to cry. Brenda, he says, you promised. You said you'd cut back. You said you were sober. And I did. I told him I was sober. What was I supposed to do? Tell him I was still having a few drinks. He would have lost his mind. He would have gone on and on about how I was ruining my life, ruining our lives. And what about the kids? Always the kids? Like I didn't care about them. Of course I care about them. But I needed a way to unwind. He didn't get that. He just saw everything in black and white. So I said, I am sober. Mark, mostly. It was just a really hard day. You don't understand what it's like to be here all day, every day, with two screaming kids. And he just stood there, looking all wounded. He always did that. Made me feel like the bad guy. He was such a martyr. Always doing the dishes, always taking the kids to their soccer practice, always making sure they had clean clothes. Like I didn't do anything. I was there, wasn't I? I cooked sometimes. I helped them with their homework. When I was feeling up to it, anyway, he just always had to be the hero. Mr. Perfect? I remember when he first started talking about me getting help. Brenda, maybe you should talk to someone. He'd say, there are programs, for people who need a little extra support. He wouldn't even say the word alcoholic. He was always so careful, so gentle. It just made me want to scream, like he thought I was fragile or something. I'm not. I'm tough. And then he started going to these meetings himself. Some kind of support group for families of, like he needed support because I was the problem. It was ridiculous. He'd come home all quiet and just look at me with those sad eyes. It drove me nuts. I'd be thinking, oh, here we go. Another sad sack session. One time, he tried to have this big, serious talk with me. We were sitting at the kitchen table, and he had that look, like he was about to deliver some profound wisdom. Brenda, he starts, I'm worried about you and about us. I don't know how much more I can take. And I just stared at him, like, what was he even talking about? He had a good life. He had a wife, kids, a house. What was there to take? I was thinking, he's always so dramatic. It's never as bad as he makes it out to be. I just wanted to shut him down. So I started tearing up just a little. It always worked. He'd get all flustered and start apologizing. Oh, honey, I didn't mean to upset you. It was easy. Too easy. Sometimes. He just couldn't handle it when I got emotional. He'd cave every single time. It was almost boring, to be honest. Then came the intervention, his idea. Of course, not really an intervention, but he tried. He got his sister, Sarah, and my sister, Lisa, to come over, and my mom, like it was some big family meeting. I knew what they were up to. They thought they were being sneaky. They sat me down on the couch, and Mark started, Brenda, we all love you very much. He said, like he was reading from a script. But we're concerned about your health. And the children. And then Sarah chimed in. We just want you to be healthy? Brenda. Like she was so concerned. She always acted like she was better than me. Just because she had a fancy job and wore suits. And then Lisa, my own sister, we just want to see you happy. Blah. 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 I just sat there, nodding, playing along, inside. I was fuming. These bitches. They think they know everything. They think they can tell me what to do. I just wanted them to leave. I was thinking about how I could get out of it. I said, I know you're all worried, and I appreciate it. Really, I need some space. I need to figure things out for myself. And then Mark pulled out the big guns. Brenda, I've been doing some research. There's this place, a rehabilitation center. It's really good. They can help you. My heart just dropped. A rehab? No way. I didn't need that. I just needed to cut back. That's all. It wasn't a problem. Not really. I just like to drink. A lot. But it wasn't a problem. I looked at him, and I knew I had to say something to get them off my back. So I said, okay, fine. I'll go. And their faces lit up, like they'd won some kind of prize. I just wanted to gag. But I had a plan. I wasn't going to someplace to sit around with a bunch of strangers and talk about my feelings. No way. So I pretended to look into it. I found a place online. A really nice one. Actually, looked like a spa. I showed it to Mark. See, I'm serious about this. I found a place. He was so relieved. He actually hugged me. Thank you, Brenda, he said. This means so much. He always got so emotional. It was exhausting. The day came for me to go. I packed a small bag. Mark had taken care of everything. Paid for it. Too, of course. He was always so good with money. I liked to spend it. He never complained. Though, he just worked more. He was such a sucker. I said goodbye to the kids. They were so little. They didn't really understand. Mommy's going away for a little while, Mark explained. She's going to get healthy. My daughter, Emily, she cried. My son, Ben, just looked at me with those big, innocent eyes. It made me feel a little bit bad. For a second, Mark drove me to the place. It was pretty far out of town. I remember looking out the window, thinking, this is it. I'm finally going to get some peace and quiet. We pulled up, and it looked exactly like the pictures. All fancy and serene. Mark hugged me again, told me he loved me. I'll call you every day, he said, and the kids miss you already. I just nodded, smiled. I love you too, I said, totally. I just wanted him to leave so I could get on with my plan. As soon as he drove away, I walked inside. The lobby was all plush, with soft music playing. A woman with a kind smile greeted me. Welcome, Brenda. We're so glad you're here. I smiled back. Thank you, I said, all sweet and innocent. I went to my room. It was pretty nice. A big bed, a private bathroom. I unpacked my bag, and then I called a taxi. The woman at the front desk looked a little surprised when I told her I was leaving. Is everything all right, Brenda? She asked, looking all concerned. Oh, yes, I said, as if I was just stepping out for a moment. I just realized I left something really important at home. My special pillow. I can't sleep without it. I'll be back in a few hours. She bought it. Hook, line, and sinker. I got into the taxi and told the driver to take me to the nearest bus station. I wasn't going home. No way. I was going to Chicago. I had a friend there, Tiffany. She was always up for a good time, and she wouldn't judge me, not like Mark. I called Tiffany from the bus. Hey, girl, I said. Guess who's coming to visit? She was thrilled. She had no idea I was supposed to be in rehab. I just told her I needed a break from the kids and Mark. She totally understood. So I spent the next few weeks in Chicago. It was amazing. Tiffany and I went out every night. We went to bars, clubs, shopping. I used the money Mark had given me for the rehab. And then some. It felt so good to just be myself, without anyone nagging me, without any responsibilities. I was finally free. Mark called me every day. How are you doing? Brenda, are you feeling better? He was so sweet, so naive. I'd tell him, oh, it's really hard, Mark, but I'm trying. I'm really trying. I'd even pretend to cry sometimes. He'd tell me how proud he was of me. It was honestly kind of hilarious. I was living it up, and he thought I was getting my life together. I'd post a picture or two on Facebook. Nothing specific, just a pretty landscape or a coffee cup. Something innocent. And I'd put some sappy caption about finding myself or healing. He'd like them, of course. My little public persona was all about being this brave, vulnerable woman. Inside, I was just laughing. After a few weeks, my money started to run out, and Tiffany was starting to get a little annoyed. She had her own life, I guess, so I decided it was time to go back. I called Mark. I'm ready to come home, I said, trying to sound a little weak, a little tired. I think I've made a lot of progress. I feel so much stronger. He was ecstatic. Oh, Brenda, that's wonderful. I'll come pick you up right away. So he drove all the way to Chicago to pick me up. He hugged me so tight. "You look so good," he said, like I'd lost weight or something. I hadn't. I'd probably gained some from all the late-night pizza. The ride home was quiet. He kept glancing at me, like he was expecting me to burst into tears and tell him all my deep, dark secrets. But I just said, "It was tough, Mark, really tough. But I learned a lot." And then I changed the subject, asked him about the kids. He brightened up immediately. For a while, things were okay. I was back home. I pretended to be sober. I'd pour myself a glass of water when he was around, or a sparkling cider. And then, when he went to work, or when the kids were at school, I'd get into the wine. I was good at hiding it, or so I thought. But Mark, he was different. He was quieter. He'd just watch me sometimes, with that look, like he knew something. And it made me so mad, like he was trying to catch me. He started setting boundaries. "Brenda, I need you to be honest with me." He'd say, "I need to know you're really committed to this." And I'd just roll my eyes, or get defensive. "I am, Mark. Why do you always have to question me?" He even suggested we go to couples therapy, just to talk things through, he said, to make sure we're on the same page. I went, but I hated it. The therapist, she was always looking at me like she knew something. And Mark, he just kept talking about how I was avoiding accountability. I'd just sit there, nodding, making agreeable noises. But inside, I was thinking, this is such a waste of time. He's just trying to control me. I'd say things like, "I feel like you're not trusting me, Mark," or "It's not fair that you're always bringing up the past," always shifting the blame. It was his fault for not trusting me, not my fault for giving him reasons not to. Then came the money problems. He started looking at the bank accounts more closely. "Brenda," he said one day, holding up a statement, "there's a lot of money missing. From the savings. What happened?" I totally froze. I had forgotten about that. I had used a lot of our savings for my Chicago trip, and then some more for shopping when I got back. I couldn't tell him that. So I just shrugged. "I don't know. Mark, maybe there was a mistake at the bank. Or maybe I bought something big for the kids. I can't remember." He just stared at me. "Brenda," he said, his voice flat. "You spent over $10,000? You can't just forget that." And I lost it. Not in a crying way, but in an angry way. "Why are you always interrogating me? Why do you always have to be so controlling? It's our money, isn't it? I have a right to spend it." He just shook his head. "It's not about the money, Brenda. It's about the honesty. It's about the trust." I just walked away. I couldn't deal with him anymore. He was always so serious, so intense. He never let anything go. Things got worse after that. He became even more distant. He'd come home, eat dinner, help the kids with their homework, and then just disappear into his office. He wouldn't even look at me sometimes. I'd try to talk to him, to get him to react. But he was like a brick wall. Mr. Checked out. I started to get really mad. Like, why was he doing this to me? I was trying. Wasn't I was here. I was being a mom. He was just being dramatic. One night, I went through his phone. I know, but he was being so secretive. I just had to know what he was up to. And that's when I saw the texts. "To another woman?" My stomach dropped. I scrolled through them. Nothing explicitly romantic, but it was clear. She was someone from his work. They were talking about me, about how difficult I was, about how exhausted he was, and she was being so supportive. "You deserve better, Mark," she wrote. "You're such a good man." I felt a surge of rage. That bitch? Who did she think she was? Telling my husband he deserved better. Like she knew anything about us. I wanted to smash his phone. I wanted to go to her house and just rip her hair out. I confronted him. Of course. "Who is this?" I screamed, throwing the phone at him. "Are you cheating on me?" He looked genuinely shocked. "What are you talking about?" "She's just a colleague. We were talking about our lives." He picked up the phone. "And why are you going through my phone?" "Brenda, because you're acting suspicious." I yelled. "You're hiding things from me? You're talking about me behind my back." He sighed. "Brenda, I'm not hiding anything. I'm tired. I'm trying to figure out what to do." And then he said it. The words that changed everything. "I can't do this anymore. Brenda, I'm leaving. I'm taking the kids." I just stared at him, like he had punched me in the gut. "Leaving, taking the kids." No, he couldn't, he wouldn't. He was always so loyal, so predictable. This wasn't like him. "You can't do that," I cried. "You can't just leave me. What about me? What about our family?" He looked at me, and his eyes were completely empty. No anger, no sadness, just Nothing. There is no us anymore. Brenda, he said, not really. You told me you were sober, and you weren't. You lied about rehab. You've been lying to me this whole time. I can't live like this. The kids deserve better. And then he started packing, just a few bags for himself and the kids. He was so calm. It made me even angrier. I tried to argue, to plead, to cry, but nothing worked. He just kept going. He called his sister, Sarah. She was there in 20 minutes. She didn't even look at me, just went straight to the kids' rooms, helped Mark pack their things. Emily was crying. Ben was just quiet, clutching his stuffed animal. Mommy, Emily said, her voice trembling. Are you coming with us? I looked at Mark, pleading with my eyes. He just shook his head. No. Sweetie, he said, Mommy's going to stay here for a while. She needs to sort some things out. And then they were gone. Just like that. The house was so quiet. Too quiet. I walked into the living room, and it felt empty. Like a shell. I called Mark over and over again. He didn't answer. I called Sarah. She picked up. Don't call this number again. Brenda, she said, her voice cold. Mark and the kids are safe. They're with me. He's filing for divorce. And for full custody, you'll hear from his lawyer. And then she hung up. I was alone. Completely alone. I walked into the kitchen and saw the wine bottles I had hidden behind the cereal boxes. I grabbed one, uncorked it, and took a long swig. It didn't taste good. It tasted like ash. The next few weeks were a blur. I called the kids' school. They said Mark had unenrolled them. I called his work. They said he had taken a leave of absence. He had completely disappeared. With my children, I tried to get a lawyer, but without money, it was hard. Mark had taken all the joint accounts. All that money I had spent on my rehab and my shopping spree, gone. And my own savings. I had never really had much. I had always relied on Mark. Mr. Provider, I kept calling Mark's phone, leaving angry voicemails. You can't do this. Mark, you're ruining my life. You're turning my children against me. He never replied. I tried to reach out to Lisa, my sister. She was cold. To Brenda, she said, you brought this on yourself. Mark tried to help you. We all did. You need to get help. Real help. Like it was so easy. Like I could just flip a switch. My friends from before, the ones I used to go out with, they slowly faded away. Tiffany in Chicago. She stopped answering my calls. I guess she got tired of me complaining about Mark. Everyone just abandoned me. The house started to feel oppressive. Every corner. Every room. It reminded me of him. Of them. The kids' toys were still scattered on the floor in their rooms. Their little shoes were by the door. But they weren't there. I started drinking more. What else was there to do? I had no job. No money. No kids. No husband. Just me. And a bottle of wine. Or 2. Or 3. One morning, I woke up, and the sun was streaming through the windows. It was bright. Too bright. My head was pounding. My stomach was churning. I tried to get out of bed, but I felt so weak. I couldn't even stand up. My whole body felt like it was shutting down. I tried to call someone. Anyone. But my phone was dead. I hadn't charged it. I hadn't paid the bill. I hadn't done anything. I was shaking. My teeth were chattering. My heart was racing. I knew what it was. Detoxing. And I was doing it alone, while he was out there, living his life. Raising our kids, without me, I curled up on the floor, shivering. My body was convulsing. I was throwing up, but there was nothing in my stomach. Just dry heaves. It felt like I was dying. And I was alone. I lay there for what felt like forever. Days, maybe. I lost track of time. The house was cold. The lights were off. I was just lying there, on the floor, in the dark. I remember thinking, this is it. This is what it feels like to hit rock bottom. But even then, I didn't blame myself. I blamed Mark. He put me in this situation. He abandoned me. He took everything. Eventually, somehow, I managed to crawl to the bathroom. I splashed some cold water on my face. I looked in the mirror. My face was pale and gaunt. My eyes were bloodshot. I looked like a ghost. I tried to eat something, but I couldn't keep anything down. I was so weak. I needed help. But who was I going to call? Everyone was gone. I don't know how long I was like that. Days. Weeks. It all blurs together. I just know that the electricity got cut off. Then the water. I was living in a dark, cold, empty house, surviving on whatever I could find in the back of the pantry. I heard the mail slot open sometimes, letters dropping onto the floor. I knew what they were. Divorce papers. Bills. Notices. I just left them there. I didn't want to open them. I didn't want to see it. One day, I heard a knock on the door. Then another, and another. I didn't answer. I just stayed hidden in the darkness of the living room. I heard voices. Mark's voice. And another man's, Brenda? I heard Mark say, his voice muffled through the door. Brenda, are you in there? I held my breath. I didn't want him to see me like this. I didn't want him to know how bad it was. Then I heard the sound of keys. The door opened. Mark stood there, with another man, who looked like a police officer. Mark looked at me, huddled on the floor, and his face, it was still empty. No anger, no pity, just recognition. Like he already knew. Brenda, he said, his voice quiet. We're here to serve you with the papers, and to inform you that the bank is foreclosing on the house. My heart pounded. Foreclosure. No. This was our house. Our home. You can't do that. Mark. I tried to stand up, but my legs buckled. This is my house. He didn't even acknowledge my words. He just handed the papers to the officer. She needs help, he said, looking at the officer. She's not well. The officer looked at me, then at Mark. Ma'am, he said, his voice firm. We're going to need you to leave the premises. The house has been foreclosed upon, and just like that, everything was gone. The house, the kids, the husband, the money, everything I had taken for granted, everything I thought I deserved. It was all stripped away. I was taken to a shelter, a place for women who had nowhere else to go. It was dirty. It was loud. There were strangers everywhere. People who looked at me with pity or disgust. I tried to call Mark from a payphone. He didn't answer. I tried to call the kids' school again. They told me he had moved them to a new school, in a different state. They were gone. For good. I ended up getting a job, cleaning offices at night. It was terrible. The pay was awful. And I was always tired. I lived in a small, dingy room in a shared house. No privacy, no comfort. I see pictures of Mark sometimes. On Facebook. His sister, Sarah, she posts them. Pictures of him and the kids, smiling. They look happy. Like a real family. He's got a new haircut. He looks good. And there's another woman in some of the pictures. She's pretty. She's smiling. Too. A genuine smile. Not like my fake ones. I hear things through the grapevine. 2, that Mark got a promotion. That he bought a new house. That he's raising the kids. And she's there. Helping him. Being a real mother. And me. I'm still here. Cleaning toilets. Alone. Do I regret it? No. Not really. I regret that things turned out this way. I regret that I got caught. I regret that Mark was so unforgiving. He just gave up on me. He didn't even try to understand. He thinks he's so great, raising those kids all by himself. He thinks he's a hero, but he's not. He's just a man who abandoned his wife when she needed him most. And those kids, they'll grow up with a warped view of their mother. Thanks to him, I don't care anymore. Not about him. Not about them. They made their choice. They chose to leave me, and now I'm living my life. And if it's not perfect, well, whose fault is that? Not mine. I was just trying to live. And if that meant having a little fun, a little escape, then so be it. He just couldn't handle it. He was always so weak. And now I'm the one who's strong. I'm surviving, and I'll find a way to get back at him. Someday. Just you wait.